This is the Saucony Endorphin Pro 5, and it's a follow-up to a shoe that was a bit underwhelming. So will this update right the ship? It's time to lace up the Endorphin Pro 5 and take them for a run. Yo, what's going on? My name is Kofuzi and I'm a not-only runner who reviews running shoes here on YouTube. And today I want to talk to you guys about the Saucony Endorphin Pro 5. But before I give you my thoughts on this shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that was sent to me for the purpose of review, so I didn't have to pay for these shoes. However, nobody's paying me to make this video or to include their brand in this video, and no one's gonna get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the Saucony Endorphin Pro 5, and let's start with the specs. This is a 39.5 millimeter stack height shoe with an 8 millimeter drop, giving us 31.5 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot. And in this midsole, we have three different items. First, we have Power Run PB, which is this beaded bottom layer. It's a beaded PBA foam. And on the top layer, we have Power Run HG, which is a supercritical PBA formulation. And between those two layers is a slotted carbon fiber plate. So the idea with the slotted carbon fiber plate is to make each foot strike a little bit more smooth. And I think the concern with regular carbon fiber plates, at least from Saucony's point of view, is that if you're not landing exactly parallel to the surface you're running on, if you're landing a little bit on the side, it could cause a pivot point where your foot might slap down and cause some discomfort. If the front of the carbon fiber plate is slotted like a fork, if you land on an angle, it will absorb more of the impact because that slot makes it more flexible, so that way your foot can more gradually and smoothly hit the ground before then hitting maximum bend of that plate and before it snaps back up. Or at least that is the intention with this slotted carbon fiber plate. Now, to protect all the midsole foam in this shoe, we have Saucony's Power Track rubber. It's the same rubber compound that we've seen in previous years. And we have it in a very similar configuration as we've seen in previous years, and a setup that's pretty common in race shoes these days. We have two skids of rubber on each side of the heel and then an area in the forefoot. For race shoes, I feel like there is a above average amount of rubber coverage here. We also have a channel in the center of the midsole foam in order to give the foam a little bit of a place to go when it is experiencing load and wants to compress. And then we could also get a little window into the carbon fiber plate, which has been designed in a 3-stone pattern, much like the 3-stone river rock pattern that we see in the Saucony logo. As we're taking a look at the upper, this is probably where we see the biggest change as far as a year where there aren't really that many changes, or at least visual appearance changes, to the Endorphin Pro. This year we're going with a much more simple, much more basic type of upper, which is a bit of a departure from Saucony. Saucony has usually gone really extravagant, exquisitely ornate as far as their racing uppers go, and it has been kind of a signature feature from Saucony racing. This year we have a combination of a mesh material for most of the upper, and then the tongue is a knit material that folds over for a front pull tab. It's a booty construction type of design, so there is just one piece that covers the front of the foot. And then in the back of the heel, we have a more traditional upholstery with a very slight amount of padding, just the right amount, I think, for a racing shoe to protect the back of the heel. And there's not a lot of structure otherwise that's back here, which is just how I like to see my racing shoes constructed. Altogether, this shoe comes in at a respectable weight for race shoes in 2026, weighing in at 7.3 ounces or 206 grams. Now that we talked about what the shoe is like on paper, let's talk about what these shoes are like on the road. The Saucony Endorphin Pro 5 is a subtle upgrade from what we saw in last year's Endorphin Pro 4. The main thing that I'm noticing in terms of geometry is that we've gotten rid of this fish gill design in the Endorphin Pro 4, which I was very much not a fan of. I mean, visually, I was really into it, but structurally, I felt like it created a lot of girth and width at the bottom of the heel and made the shoe feel more stabilized than it needed to be. This year, we've gone to this more Art Deco-like design in terms of what's going on in the pattern of the heel. And not only does this update the design language of the midsole, midsole here to match what we saw in last year's Endorphin Speed 5 and what we'll see in the Endorphin Azura that's coming up soon. It makes the shoe feel more neutral, and it also makes the shoe feel more nimble. But at the end of the day, you could easily be forgiven if you think that the Endorphin Pro 5 is really nothing more than just an upper update, because I do feel like the shoes are very similar. But in case you haven't tried the Saucony Endorphin Pro series before, what I'm getting from this shoe is a really nice sense of compression when my foot hits the ground. It's a nice amount of cushion. I enjoy Saucony's Power Run PB. I think for a lot of us, including myself, we tend to get really bored quickly with race caliber materials. And because Saucony has been using this beaded PBA foam for a while now, I think the tendency for a lot of people is to discount it. But I think it's still an excellent race caliber material. It also has really great versatility because we were seeing it also in some of the daily training and tempo product. But here in the race product, I think that it does a very good job. I feel like not only does it give us that good compression that I'm looking for in a race day product, but it's also giving me a really nice sense of responsiveness. I think that ultimately the shoe is a little bit on the soft side though. I feel like I'm not getting quite as much pop back from the shoe as I'd like. And I'm not sure if it's because the Power Run HG foam, that upper layer of supercritical PBA, is a little bit too mushy. It's not decompressing quickly enough after it's compressing, or if it's because of that slotted plate. I really kind of wish they would just give us a straight carbon fiber plate to give us shoe just a little bit more extra oomph. But overall, I enjoy the experience that I'm getting in this shoe. I've used it for a variety of different types of paces, everything from just a steady run all the way up to some threshold efforts. I felt like the shoe did really well at accommodating my foot strike and being a fun shoe to be able to run in for all of those paces, even though I did find it was a little bit less aggressive than I'd like for something that I would consider for race day. As far as the changes to the upper go, I'd say not only are they visually a little bit disappointing to me, I feel like on foot they feel a little bit like a downgrade. Overall, it feels less precise and it feels like it's a little bit cheaper. It feels like this was not an upper update, but an upper cost saving measure. And so I didn't quite like it as much. It wasn't a huge distraction, but it was something that I noticed. I'm feeling that this shoe errs on the side of a little bit more space. At times I felt like the upper was a little bit on the baggy side, but again, nothing that I found distracting. But I think the selling point for this shoe is a feature that I really don't care for or really notice, at least when I'm running in the shoe at anything close to a race type efforts. I feel like the shoe is pretty stabilized in the heel, so people that are midfoot or heel strikers are going to feel very confident with the landing and get a nice roll through motion as they're pushing off into the next stride. For me, that's not really something that I look for, and in fact, in race product, something that I kind of try to avoid. But if you are that midfoot or heel striker, I feel like the Endorphin Pro 5 is something that you're going to want to look at. Now, as far as the Power Run HG goes, I think that from a marketing perspective, it's new, it's interesting, and it feels like a more premium product than just having all Power Run PB. But I feel like I'd love to have Saucony consider, in addition to going to a non-slotted or just a regular carbon fiber plate, I'd love to see them bring back Power Run PB all throughout the midsole for the Endorphin Pro. I feel like this shoe peaked at the Endorphin Pro 3, and I'd love to see this shoe get back to the performance of the midsole in that all Power Run PB midsole shoe and the really lovely upper that that shoe had. Now let's wrap up this video by going over the buying guide, and we'll also discuss some alternatives. The Saucony Endorphin Pro 5 is a capable race shoe that I think is ideal for midfoot and heel strikers looking for a little bit more stability in their race day product and are looking for a shoe that is a little bit less aggressive than the other shoes that are in the competition. This shoe becomes available on February 7th for $240, which is a $15 tariff bump over last year's version. And it's particularly annoying to see that price increase because I feel like this shoe is essentially the exact same shoe as last year. Maybe it's a little bit more responsive, a little bit more firm than last year, but essentially it's an upper update year over year. For anyone interested in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 5, I'm going to recommend that you save a couple of bucks and try to find discounted pairs of the Endorphin Pro 4 at $190. But let's see what else is out there on the market to see where the $240 pricing from Saucony stacks up. Now, the first shoe that I thought about when I ran in the Endorphin Pro 5 is another shoe that I find to be a really nice shoe, but less aggressive than I ideally would want it to be for race day. This is from New Balance's SC Elite version 5. Now, I was really happy with the updates to this shoe because I feel like it went a little bit further in the more aggressive direction, like I've been wanting this shoe to go for the past couple of iterations. And I'm happy with the direction it's going. And I think that it's a really nice update from version 4. It's a little bit more nimble, a little bit more aggressive. It's very lightweight. The upper fits really nicely. Now, the SC Elite version 5 normally retails for $265, but it's currently available at a discount because it's been out for a little bit for $212, and I feel like that is a really nice price. Now, the next shoe that I want to talk about is another shoe that I think is really well suited for midfoot and heel strikers, and it's also a shoe that I think is a little bit less aggressive than I would ideally like to see on race day. This one is from Brooks. This is a Hyperion Elite 5 PB. This shoe uses DNA Gold, which is their PIBA product, and it has a carbon fiber plate with these kind of bumps in the middle, which are designed to create some extra bounce after you hit the ground in this shoe. The upper on this shoe is absolutely gorgeous. Brooks, like Saucony, is one of those brands that does a fantastic job with race uppers, and I feel like the upper on the Hyperion Elite 5 is just absolutely gorgeous and feels great to put on feet. Because of the way this shoe is designed with the angle of the carbon fiber plate, it's not ideally tuned for my kind of foot strike and the way that I run. And so for me, the feeling that I'm getting is that it's a little bit on the flat side. I'm not getting quite as much pop from the foams and materials as the paper specs might suggest. And I think that's largely because of the geometry and how it's set up. It's mainly designed for midfoot and heel strikers. And I think a lot of those elements are also visible in the Endorphin Pro 5. So I feel like these two shoes are definitely worth considering. They're both 8mm drop shoes. The Hyperion Elite 5 I think is a little bit lighter, but I think these two shoes line up quite well. The Hyperion Elite 5 is a lot more expensive though. This shoe comes in at $275. So you are paying quite a bit more to get into that shoe. And at that kind of price differential, I'd have you look at the Saucony Endorphin Pro 5 or the New Balance SC Elite 5 first. So those are my thoughts on the Endorphin Pro 5. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions about this shoe or any of the shoes that I talked about today, or better yet, stop at the live stream that I do Mondays and Thursdays over on the Kofuzi Run Club channel. I'd love to see you guys over there in the chat. That's all for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?